a frequency that you connect your frequency with another frequency, and that's how you get a phone call on a cell phone. It's the same thing as when you think about someone and they call you. That's a frequency, that's a thought, feeling, and emotion that you put out in the universe, and it's equal to or greater than, and boof. I thought about Mom and she calls me. Hi, guys. On today's podcast, we're going to go over the parallels, the interconnection between black hole energy, Earth, and the human heart, and how they all integrate together, and how when you understand the synergy of these three things, work together to create your ultimate level of consciousness. And we'll go deep into the mechanisms that work behind it, from the electromagnetic field all the way up to the universe in of itself, right down to a subatomic particle, and we will put them all together and have you have a deeper understanding of these inner workings and the synchronicity of all these three things. And stay for the end of the podcast, where we go through an exercise that activates your nitric oxide, your oxytocin, and puts you, and high levels of dopamine, puts you into this completely full, coherent state, having your heart bursting with joy and happiness and bliss. And I really thank you for stopping by, and enjoy the episode. Between the breath in and the breath out, the Wu Ji, pure source, universe, Tao, Buddha, all things. Right here, right now. Welcome to the consciousness of the way. My divine, delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade.
Welcome.
Welcome to you. Welcome to the jungle. Well, is that that's Guns N' Roses. Still a great song. And I'm your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Quinn. Top of the morning to you, my friends. Come in, you beautiful beings, to another installment of the Tao in 2023. And today we're going to go on a magical mystery tour. Sifu, it's always a magical mystery tour. Yes, it is.
Every day is.
It is. But we're going to correlate how the black hole, how the Earth, and the human heart could possibly have any association. Not just association, but affiliation and replication of something much grander, something much greater. Basically, the access point, the epicenter, the gateway to all things, which is abundance, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. And we're going to do it right here, right now. And we will end this podcast, as we always do, with an exercise in sampling this incredible pairing, Salmanier pairing. I wonder what there's another word for that. I don't know. But in any case, if we were pairing the wines of the world with the foods of the world that would be replicative or parallel, or an offering of what is equivalent to the Earth, the black hole, and of course the human heart, well, we have the perfect trio now, don't we? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you're the cocktail. You know how they make all these cocktail infusions with a energy, frequency, vibration cocktail bartender.
Yes.
Come have a drink with us.
That's right. Tom Cruise, high on the Tao.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that he couldn't be high on the Tao. Who knows what Tom Cruise is up to these days? Back at you, my friend. But I must admit, he's definitely contributing to a greater good, a higher consciousness. Excuse me, Safi, what are you talking about, Tom Cruise? He's some actor with some wackadoo sort of mindset and belief system that's up in the uppity weird Scientology or whatever the hell you want to call it. This is the reality of Taoism. We accept it all as is. I had a very profound guest on the podcast just yesterday, the one and only, the IFBB Pro, Chris Dim, who I've always admired over the decades. He really spearheaded bodybuilding for especially the Asian culture, because he sort of entered into bodybuilding as a pro many decades ago and was rubbing shoulders and competing up against the likes of Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Chris Cormier. I mean, and this guy was very impressive. I mean, I'm talking about a muscle density that was second to none, notably equivalent to a pro. That's why he got his pro card. And just incredible physique, symmetry, muscularity, and what an incredible guy. Adversity like you've never seen before, which would possibly be the reason why he is accepting how easy his life is. And when you listen to an adverse sort of like story like Chris's, how he ended up over here in America, coming from, Cambodia, and he literally was born as a child into what we know as, from history, a very, very well-known story about the killing fields in Cambodia. And he bore witness to that. He actually shared quite a few stories about his witness as a child to heinous crimes beyond your wildest imagination. And then he came over here, and that incredible value system that everyone has, including myself, coming to this country, it seems to be apparent that it's quite easy as an immigrant, which everyone is. But let's just say, for example, perhaps someone who wasn't born here, that like myself or Chris has come from another country, is in awe of the magic that is America, because it really is profound. There is no country on in planet Earth that is anything like America. And so, he did what all of us do, which is, this can't be real. This is like paved with gold, opportunities, just anything and everything. Just set your mind to it, create intention, and poof, your reality, your life, your absolute wildest dreams can come true, just if you put your intention to it. And Chris would reference that as mindset, which is more commonly accepted, and especially within bodybuilding. This guy, I notice, I've had some experience in bodybuilding over the decades, powerlifting and whatnot, understanding that there's a certain mindset that you have to be able to achieve those types of goals. And is it possible for anyone? Absolutely. It's just that they tend to have that switch that's turned on before you have to delve deeper into your unconscious to obtain a level of consciousness that would change your reality, which so many people do. That's why people admire athletes, health and fitness influencers, people of that nature, because they're achieving goals that majority of the people in the world want. that they don't have a clear understanding or a path to achieve those goals.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day too. How much work goes in out of the scenes or behind the scenes in bodybuilding. Like it's a 364-day, like constantly developing for like a 5-minute show. Basically, I mean, a 5-minute performance of you on stage, maybe 15 minutes. But it's like you think about how much like goes in behind the scenes for this really, really small amount of time. It's incredible. You have to have that determination. You have to have that right mindset, that consciousness, that awareness to really get into that. And it is so competitive that, many people even work on it and don't even get to the pro level.
Right.
Yet you don't see, I mean, on social media, maybe a little bit more, but back in the day, it was like you didn't even know this person was in the gym 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, all the eating, everything else. It is a very kind of like, you do the work, but you don't, like, the acknowledgement you get from it is like so small compared to like, football or basketball. They're constantly playing games weekly with crowds, and it's hour-long games or 2-hour-long
Well,
games.
it's more, the bodybuilding in that sense, getting the accolades or the validation is not as important because you see the results on a minute by minute, day by day basis yourself. You see them by your performance, you see them by your muscularity, you see them by your results within the gym, and that satisfies the soul.
But that's a big deal because most people are looking for that outside validation. They're looking for the crowd to cheer their name, to wear their jersey, to sign their autograph. They're looking for that kind of outside pull, whereas like bodybuilders, it's like they kind of have this, like, I know I'm doing this, whether someone else knows I'm doing it or not isn't as relevant as like I can walk in and know I am the biggest badass in this room and you don't have anything on me.
Right, right.
And it's a certain mindset
And
for
I
sure.
mean, to his credit, to this day, with all the adverse things that have happened to him in his life, having to deal with basically malpractice, and I mean the guy takes it so nonchalant, like really profound stuff. But I mean, he was basically victim of malpractice of a surgeon's inability to effectively operate on him, which ended in a result of him being paralyzed as they cut his basically his spinal cord, leaving him paralleled from the waist down on a surgery that was supposed to be meant for, fixing or altering issues that he had with his cardiovascular system. I mean, that in of itself, to be able to rise up above that and go, you know what, I could spend my time focusing on this guy and what he's done to me, and then just, be intensely angry and so sad and helpless and hopeless about my situation, or I could get up and start a new day. And I mean, this in essence is everything that we speak of within, everything that Jade and I share from the Tao is you create your reality. And this guy is like profound as a motivational speaker, as a having insight into his practical application of that, using his reality and what he has generated from it. And so, there were other complications. I suggest that you go and watch our interview. It's an incredible interview. We're going to break it up into two parts because there was a lot of information going on, and the guy was just so forthcoming and sharing in his own, his own journey in his life and all the things that he's done. And
Yeah, it'll be
Just a
out.
brilliant,
Be
just
out soon.
it'll be out in the next couple of brilliant podcast, and he's an incredible guest, and I feel very grateful to call him a new friend, not just a friend of the channel, but a personal friend, and I bonded with him immediately. What an incredible guy, an example of humanness and what human beings really in tune with their higher self, realizing that they are nothing more than an extension, an expression of this frequency we call the universe, God, Tao, Buddha, however you want to perceive it. And when you stay in that frequency, that high vibration, you have this incredible gift called Christine. And I'm just very grateful that the Tao brought him into my life and that we were able to have him as a guest on the podcast. And then, of course, blossoming a newfound friend just through coincidence. We know what that is. So we'll see more of him, and we'll revisit having him back on the channel because he's such a great motivator. And in the future, as Jade and I progress, next year we will end up with a consciousness conference or expo here in the beautiful state of Nevada. And man, baby, we're going to bring you to the desert. We're going to show you what real awakening is, ascension beyond ascension. And Las Vegas, baby. Yeah. So I look forward to pulling together these incredible, inspirational people, which are another expression of the Tao. So he will be on the list with many others. And as we start to structure this thing, and just it's actually a great reminder for me that it was on our to-do list, and now we're going to really solidify that and make that happen for next year, and possibly even a lot sooner. I want to get that going in the next couple of weeks, so we'll have more of a structured idea of how that looks. I know Jade is hurting inside, looking at me like, yeah. But in any case, hey, look, I put it out there, so that makes it a catalyst for me to continue to make that happen. And I appreciate the fact that I have incredible, amazing people around me like Jade, who is just like the pillar and cornerstone to my every essence and all things. And that makes my flow as a part of the Tao effortless because I have this incredible, amazing wife. Got that on camera. Right?
I'm going to replay it.
Yeah. So, with that said, let's talk about, the fundamental correlation between the black hole, the earth, and the human heart. What an interesting combo. I mean, Sifu, I don't even understand how that is even relevant. Well, what we have is a very ancient access point for tens of thousands of years that Taoists have referenced, which is this black hole energy. Now, fundamentally, what's quite interesting more recently within the quantum physics community is this epiphany, this realization. And there's a few physicists that I follow that have come to this aha moment that have like, oh my goodness, like we could actually access this resource, create a device very similar to a cell phone that can tap into this, because that's exactly what you're doing as a cell phone. Within the quantum mechanics model, you are using quantum physics to basically operate a cell phone, to operate the internet. All these things are already taking place. So why are we, as human beings on planet Earth in 2023, operating with this antiquated, clunky old source of energy like, I don't know, fossil fuels, solar energy, using electricity in the good old-fashioned way that it was discovered, hundreds of years ago, when we have access to this abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite amount of source of energy that is now literally, they're not claiming, they have proven, and I've yet to see it, but I know it exists because we use this energy as Taoists every day. So for me to be given someone telling me, well, we can refine it and concentrate it and actually give you a device that can power your house, power your car, and it's free. Yeah, that's what I use all day, every day. That's 0 point energy to heal people, to manifest, to create magic, to create, period. So I'm 1,000% in. You don't have to sell me on it because I already know it's real. And we use it all day, every day. The question is how they divide, they create a device that can concentrate this energy and then be applicable to running, all the energy in your house, which is already been validated. Now, how they transfer that into, a mass rollout is another question, but they're saying that it's happening soon. I'm excited, and a lot of the people that I follow as physicists are, laying claim to a solution to this very subject, not a problem. Because it's not a problem. It's already there. It's already evident. So now let's get down to the brass tacks. Taxes. That's right, mummy. Mm-hmm. Is it a tax? Is it taxes? Does anyone even know what that old expression really means? More likely than not, you've got everyone scratching their head. You're like, what is this English guy talking about? Or maybe is he South African? I'm not sure. Is he South African? Maybe he's from New Zealand. Actually, yeah, I'm actually from, Timbuktu.
A mix.
I'm a mix. Yeah, no, understanding that this source of energy has been accessible to all of us. Now, we train people in a sensory perception to access it as an individual, a singular collective. We talk about this, and people talk about this understanding. Let's talk about the black hole, the wormhole, which has in the past, been referred to as a vortex that sucks, the very essence out of everything. It's like, oh my goodness, don't go anywhere near a black hole. It's going to suck all the life out of whatever is around it and absorb it into this abyss and never to be seen again. And if you've seen enough Hollywood movies, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm a little afraid of that. Now, we don't subscribe to that recipe of mindset, that recipe of thought process, that recipe of understanding, because we know that the emotion of fear is nothing more than a catalyst and an entry point for, your suggestibility, and it creates incoherence. You're not aligning yourself to tap into these energies. You're submitting to a lower frequency that puts you in dismay. It separates you. It scatters you, which would lead you to a thought process that is compartmentalized, and you would believe you're using your brain, you're using your thoughts to generate an outcome which will never ever bear fruit or be greater than what it is, which is incoherence, disorder. And that's what happens when you use emotions, to start with, especially something like fear.
So for everyone out there who's curious, because we talk a lot about tapping into the quantum, being in the quantum, when you manifest, you're, replicating that. Is there a difference between, because we're kind of talking about metaphysical energy and then also just like energy, like electricity, frequencies.
Well, it's all the same.
Is for anyone curious, is there a difference between this black hole energy and the quantum field?
No, well, that is the quantum field. So
it's just another.
Well, the black hole energy is in definition the quantum field, which is where we speak on 0 point energy. So what happens is how you create the whole model of understanding when they talk about entanglement within quantum physics is that this black hole energy that is the singular, which is the activator within your truth teller, which is the sacred infinite flower, which is equivalent to, within Hindu practices, what you call your fourth chakra, your heart, when you activate that, it's the death of a star. Now, the parallels are what creates a black hole within, science, within physics, within the observation of the universe. Well, what creates a black hole within the model of the universe is the death of a star. Okay? Now, we can go into more mechanical aspects of it, but let's just make it very simplistic. The death of a star is the life of the black hole. And so you create this wormhole from the death of a star. And, they've got these things measured, equivalent to galaxies in size. And what happens is you create, there's an effect that takes place within this black hole. And on the lip of the black hole, they call it the event horizon. Okay? And so this is where the fear is, oh my goodness, if I get any closer to that, it's going to suck me in. What they've come to realize is this event horizon, the singular, the black hole mass that is actually just a pure source of abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite amount of energy, is that in of itself. An infinite amount of energy, endless, abundant. And so they've come to this realization, but on closer observation and understanding the quantum model and going deeper past, back in the 60s when we discovered DNA, when we looked at things that they weren't just at face value, just an atom where, there are parts moving independently of each other within this what we observe as this atom, this system. It's like, no, it's pulsating. It's as one. That's what the universe is in of itself. And the quantum model gives you a very clear understanding of that. Crunching the numbers will give you a very clear understanding, the binary code, zeros and ones, that there is this evidence within, right down to a subatomic particle within a photon or a proton, which is something you cannot see with your naked eye, which exists, which is what's between you and I, is what we call the 0 point energy. The 0 point energy is the black hole energy. It's inside everything.
So basically, we use it for, cultivation. We use it for spiritual practice. We use it for healing, magic, manifestation. What you're saying in essence is science is starting to realize that we can use it for material things or products or physical things, speakers, cameras, cars, buildings as a source of energy to run whatever, that thing is versus, a
Good
person.
old-fashioned electricity.
Good old-fashioned electricity
Which is sparked from, fossil fuel.
Right.
Which in turn is basically responsible for over 6,000 different things that are produced on the planet Earth today. So if fossil fuel was to not exist anymore, the world as we know it would stop operating. So is there an imminent threat that the world is going to end? No. Do we have to realize that, do we have an abundant amount of this fossil fuel to the end of time itself, which is infinite? I would say not. And so with that present within planet Earth, now, let's go through the rest of the universe. Maybe we'll find something in another galaxy, another multiverse. Back at you, Stan. Understand that, Stan Lee's imagination creating the Marvel, universe that we know of, that we gravitate to these superheroes, is just his download and his ability. And like, even as I'm speaking to you, tapping into him and having him chime into me right now going, that's pretty much how it happened, listening to what you're saying, I kind of got this idea that maybe they weren't my thoughts, but in reality, they would just come to me like fire off shots, one after the other, creating these what would perceive as superhumans with these ridiculous powers. And they're not so ridiculous anymore when you start to look at what is the potential of a human being when you take off the training wheels of your personality and you're able to access higher levels of consciousness that step beyond the 3D reality you are perceiving right now. And that's where you get, acts of what people would define as miracles, and they're not miracles. They're very much part of the wheelhouse of our access within the universe. We've just been taught to believe that if you have an imagination, no, that's not possible, Johnny. You need to get out and get a real job and not be the daydreamer. Because when you're in a childlike state, anything is possible. And that beating down of your mental emotional state by telling you that you're crazy or your imagination is not giving you direct source information is the fallacy.
Yeah. And also, I mean, again, even just energy in itself, fossil fuel technology is so small in comparison to how long the world or the earth has been around and surviving. And, you think about like dinosaurs, millions of years ago. They didn't have fossil fuel. It's like you live off the sun, you live off the moon, you live off the water, you live off the trees, the grass. It's not like everything just started surviving just because like there was energy and infinite access of it back then.
Right.
Just because we weren't necessarily around to witness it
Right.
doesn't mean that it, things didn't thrive, survive, flourish, with that energy itself.
Yeah. And so, harnessing that is only a few moments away, and they're working on this particular system. If we have cell phones, you can do this. It's really, it's already present. Just that in of itself is an example of creating
The frequency.
a frequency that you connect your frequency with another frequency, and that's how you get a phone call on a cell phone. It's the same thing as when you think about someone and they call you. That's a frequency, that's a thought, feeling, and emotion that you put out in the universe, and it's equal to or greater than, and boof. I thought about Mom and she calls me.
I always think of those like if you've ever had like physical therapy and they put those like stickers on your leg, and it's supposed to, it like makes your muscle flinch or like move. Contract. And it's a frequency. Like they can turn up the frequency, and like you're consciously or not thinking about moving your muscle, but that frequency is like making it move. And you feel it and you look at it, and it's like, it's a very weird kind of out of body thing, but it is. It's like these frequencies have a replication of what they're putting out is what is coming back.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So we have the black hole energy. And then you say, Sifu, what else? You have a black hole. Okay, so it's an infinite amount of energy. How is that relevant to the human heart and the planet Earth? Well, you've come to the right place if you have a question like that. So let's look at the parallels. First, we've got the source of energy, right? And so that is in the nucleus of everything is this 0 point energy, this black hole energy. So at a proton level, that's a subatomic particle that's not visible by the human eye. When you take it and you're able to zoom in on it, microscope and zoom in on it, what you find is everything has this energy in it, right? And so what's happened is you're slowly detached yourself through the powers to be, information, the way you perceive your reality, that you are not allowed to be the master keeper creator of your reality due to thought processes that have been generated over centuries, over thousands of years, to separate you. And the cycle of these things come in the form of basically assassinating people's belief systems, right? And so over time, if you hadn't noticed, the biggest way to get someone to conform is to break their will. And their will is measurable, right? So we talk about will in relation to your conscious, subconscious, unconscious. We know we divide those up into specific energies. They're, parts of the cosmos creation. And in deeper levels, we go into that, and we have in past podcasts. You can check that out. Now, if you start with the old, measurement of your 5% conscious, 95% unconscious, your willpower is not exactly that great of a strength level. So if you're arm wrestling someone's got 5% power, someone's got 95. What do you think? Who do you think's going to win, right? So you've been programmed, because we talk about how easy it is to program the unconscious, and you do that at birth. And because of the brainwaves you create, you're able to absorb information very quickly. And, just like, I'm going through this whole, mastering my Mandarin, they talk about, learning language and acquiring language, right? And so acquiring a language is what we do as children. When we're born into this world, we surround ourselves by, your parents, your siblings, whatever, and we're not sitting there when you're, a day old or a week old or 9 months old and going, listen, Johnny, have you been able to repeat your alphabet yet? No. You're acquiring this sensory perception of information that's coming into your field, and because you're creating certain brainwaves that you're born into this world with, it gives you the ability to absorb that instantly into what we have coined as the unconscious. But as you develop and master skills, you're able to access that unconscious and be 100% conscious by evoking a frequency, a coherence that gives you the ability to do that. So you have this acquisition. So I'm down the path of acquiring my Mandarin learning as opposed to learning it. And I absorb things way quicker that way anyway, just in everything that I do. I just immerse myself in it, and it is mine.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially when you think about kids, they're just observing. They're not sitting there, playing with their blocks and going, okay, I'm learning that the big one goes first, and then the second biggest, and then the medium, and then the thing. It's like they're just playing with it and enjoying it, but they observe everything, every little thing, especially if you've had a child or been around a child the first time they say a swear word, and you're like, where did you get that from? And it's like they just
Daddy said it.
Yeah, Daddy said it. It's like they just are observing and absorbing everything around them.
Right.
And it's like they're not sitting there thinking, okay, what did I learn today?
No.
It's just it's effortless. It really is that effortless flow, and they flow with it, and it's something that just instantly gets attached to them, good, bad, or indifferent.
Right. And so we lose sight of that because, the powers to be sort of generate this idea there's a cycle. And as you get older, well, your brain develops, and then you're not you're incapable of creating these brain waves, and you get set in a certain way, and this is that, and this and that, and this and this and that. Well, no, that's what we help you acquire. Reunited, and it feels so good. Back to where you were as a child, in a childlike state, to be able to absorb that. That comes from, the things that we share with people and teach people. You can also fast track it and acquire it with the Way 126 experience. It's instantaneous.
It is. So getting back to this black hole energy or the quantum field, whatever name you want to call it, is within everything.
Everything.
And then when you say everything, just for anyone out there that's like, what about this? What about this? What about this? Like everything, like a
Everything.
chair,
Everything.
the wind. It doesn't have to be living. It doesn't have to have,
No.
some type of system within itself. Anything. It could be a rock.
Everything.
Everything
And
has
so
it.
when you understand that, we're all light, that's the truth, right? Whether you perceive this simulation as your flesh and blood before you on a much microscopic level that's undetectable by the human eye, this is all light. And so through many peer-reviewed studies and examples of validating this, when you put your intention, and you put your intention to anything, it transmutes light to wave to particle to matter, or particle and matter, the two are the same. And so your intention generates this. Now, something that you would believe is tangible is still light, and it still has this 0 point energy to manifest, like bending spoons and knives and all that kind of stuff, which I teach people how to do. You get into a certain state of consciousness, and when that shifts, all of a sudden, all bets are off. So you shift that state, and when you're bending, let's say, a spoon, it's like really hard metal like this. What happens is I will take possession of it with my physical hands, and then my hands will meld with the metal, and everything loses title. And you feel it, and I can do it right now as I feel and drop into this. Now, as a observer or being present in the room, you can feel that drop.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is, I've instantly accessed a fifth dimensional reality. And so all of a sudden, everything just fuses as one. My observation, as you see with your naked eye, I'm sitting here, Sifa sitting here. What I see is this kaleidoscope of different colors and auras and frequencies, energy, vibration. And then as I take a piece of metal and my hands touch it with my physical hands, it starts to melt. So my intention is I've blended with that metal and melted, and you will feel the shift and the wiggle. You'll see it with your own eyes that the hottest point where there's the most amount of energy, the weakest point within that piece of metal starts to transmute, and it becomes soft like putty. And I can just sit there and just slowly just melt it. And there's a certain point where the intention becomes so powerful that it's like butter, and it just goes from this to... Now, mentalists, magicians, illusionists, whatever, they tend to do this as an illusion. They're like, this doesn't work. What are you talking about? You've just never hit that level of consciousness, my friend. So they pretend to play this illusion game, when in actuality, telekinesis, these psychokinesis, these types of things are absolutely real. I teach people how to do that. I do it myself. And this is also part of the healing process, because flesh, metal, solid objects, inanimate objects, people, place, person, things, it's all the same. It's all energy, frequency, vibration. You just have to tap into the right frequency, and Bob's your uncle. So understanding that is the beginning. When you are void of title, that's when you get into the secret source. That's when things start taking place.
And now, is there I know there's a training system, but I think for most people, when they like astroplane or they kind of dip into that field, like, did you see it right away and also feel it right away? Or was it a visual, or, some people, they can, see the frequencies, but they're not necessarily like able to
Yeah.
play with them or,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
as
Well, it's a
pliable.
sensory perception that you develop.
Right.
And so you feel the hardness of the metal, and as you continue to drop into that consciousness and level up, it becomes like butter, and your attention intention to wherever it is that you focus, just as we talked about,
Right.
light, wave, matter, particle, that's exactly what takes place with the object, and or physical flesh, and or whatever it is that you want to do. It's the same old thing. There is no difference. When there is no title, we get down to the business.
Yeah, so you're not watching it like a movie. You're in it as if you're in the movie.
Oh,
Doing
I'm not an actor
you
in the
know what I
movie.
mean?
I am the whole movie, the film.
Right.
There's no separation, and this is only accessible when you're able to shift your consciousness and realize that everything is as one. That's why you see people operate and they go, "I'm a psychic, I'm a medium, I'm a healer, I'm a light worker, I'm a blah 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 blah." They stay in that duality. And I can be in my duality when I want as a personality. My personality has a personality. I have a sense of humor. I have my own view of things. You hear it here on this channel. I talk about things that I like the 80s and,
Genuine.
genuine. And, this is an expression of my personality. This is not, I would not operate using those things to obtain high levels of consciousness and to access change and healing. No. When I'm doing that, this person that you perceive, San Quinn, doesn't exist.
You're just a vehicle.
I'm not even the vehicle. I'm all things. And that, as I've observed over 30 years, seems to be perplexing to quite a few people. And that's okay, because we have a system to help you unravel that perplexing perception so that you can level up your perception so that you also can obtain that. Because everyone has the ability.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's why we always refer to take everything at face value. Accept and allow is very much in line with Wu Wei, effortless action, effortless effort. We ain't playing. We mean it. And so I love being received by people that would potentially have a viewpoint that they would not want to interact with someone like myself that is so far out of the realm of what I do that it's really rewarding. Like, for example, Chris Dim. He's an athlete. He's a bodybuilder. He's highly achieved guy, personally, professionally, business-wise. And so, generally bodybuilders don't even understand what they have access to. They just do it. And that old expression, just do it. And I mean, that is very relevant. And Chris actually mentions that in his podcast. It's like, just do it. It's like, so what happens when you do that? It means that you are not thinking, you are knowing. And that feeling is what gets you to that next jump off point.
Yeah. That connection with your heart.
Yes, 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 and yes. So now we have the black hole energy. I think we've given a definition of the 0 point energy. Now we have the heart in of itself and planet Earth. Why? How are they Sifu? How are they relevant? Well, now we've ascertained that this 0 point energy is the nucleus of everything, which, when you connect the dots, gives you the ability to affect change instantaneously anywhere, because we're all interconnected, right? So consciously or unconsciously, you can do things where you transmit a thought, feeling, and emotion, and it's put out in the universe, and all of a sudden you think of somebody, poof, they call you. That's the entanglement we speak of on a much deeper level. Okay, so that's how it works. It's like, imagine it's a phone line, and you're you're making a phone call. The second you create a thought, feeling, and emotion, your phone call is being received by the universe, and it's now taking it as a seed, a catalyst to realize it as a respondent. That manifestation, magic healing, is going to come back to you because that's how it works. So we have the human heart and we have the earth. Well, how are they relevant, Sifu? Well, both of them conduct this incredible magnetic field, right? So the electromagnetism from the earth and the heart happen to be identical. What? Sifu, how is that possible? Now, as a Taoist, we refer to the middle dantian, or as a Hindu, they would call it the fourth energy chakra. We call it the fifth energy chakra. This is the shiznit. This is what we call the truth teller, because you are conducting this electromagnetic field that's coming, pulsating from your heart, and when it's observed and you see it as we see auras, it comes up from your heart, it comes up, out through what you would perceive as your spine, your head, which Taoists, we call it the Tai Chi pole. It runs up through your Tai Chi pole, out through what we call the Bai Hui, which you would just physically call the top of your head. And it's very interesting how, when a child is born, that particular point is soft for quite some time before it, because it's open to many different things. Take that and digest that one for a minute. Before it's fully developed, it is absorbing at a rate that you've never seen before. That's why it remains soft. Forget about the physiological, biological, psychological profile of what the realm of man limited book learning information would be, perceiving what that might be. I'm telling you, I'm letting you know how that happens. So, the magnetic field is transmitted from the heart, and so it wraps around the physical body, and you've got this transmitter, and it has 5,000, it's been measured, 5,000 times more powerful than the brain. So we have this electromagnetic field that is transmitting from us, within us, to us, all day, every day. And so just imagine it as this circular field. So it comes out and around, and imagine it basically like an enveloped donut that is transmitted, okay? And so that happens to be very critical. That happens to be very critical. So that transmission of that electromagnetic field happens to be identical to the Earth. What? The Earth center transmits an electromagnetic field. As everything is electromagnetic, because without the electromagnetic field that's transmitted from your body, received, projected, you would be dead. Understand this, know this to be true. So if you were to put the Earth and a human body side by side, they transmit the same field of frequency. And so what's the goal? The goal is the Shazam moment. You were going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, so is it more of a like an antenna where it has like our hearts or that magnetic field coming from, basically where your heart is like an antenna, the way you would receive a radio or something. And is the middle of the earth where the signal goes and then transfers back? Or is it what we replicate what the heart or what the earth replicates?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so yes, the earth does. I mean, we're taking in information on a much deeper level from a Taoist. You're projecting and receiving information. So the command center, if you were watching the movie Houston, we have a problem. The command center, ground control, is here. So what people tend to believe is their thoughts come from here. We can go on all day about this, and have disagreements with neuroplasticists, neuroscientists, physiologists. Listen to me very, very clearly. You have your pineal gland, which is basically the antenna to the information. The information comes from here. It's been ascertained. We've known this for tens of thousands of years, but let's just use the model of the last 30 years. They discovered that we have a neural network within our heart, very similar to the one we have in our brains. They're called sensory neurites. This is a landmine of thousands of neurons that are cells that are within the heart that are also in the brain. So what does that mean, Sifu? It means that you have a little heart, a little brain in your heart. What? So this is where people get perplexed and they always fall short on their results when it comes to therapy, because it's always in your head. Psychology, it's always in your head. What does that mean? It means that you go and sit on a couch and you have someone go, repeat after me what's going on with you, and you validate or are validated by someone sitting there listening to your story and going, yes, and that's the trauma, and that's why you don't like Oreo cookies and you hate your dad and green dragons scare you. We've got all the definitions. We've got the book. Here it is. This is the psychological makeup of you. And you have 14 different personalities that are expressed through the course of your day. I mean, the book is written, right? And the most limiting compartmentalized view of that is psychology, physiology, biology in of itself. That's the mistake that people make, because when you level up and you activate your energetic body, all bets are off. That gives you gateway to your spirit body, and then you're off to the races and anything is possible, as we all have access to this. There is no exception. So we have this neural network. The information is coming from and being projected to the heart. It then sends a message from the heart up to the brain, which then you go, I got an idea. Wow, this is really cool. And then it's perceived as a thought, feeling, and an emotion that evokes a chemical response within your body using the pituitary, pineal, and thalamus, which are the three treasures from a Taoist perspective, evoking the alchemical response that is then being shuttled using the messenger, which is the culture medium, which is your blood, and then it activates a response, which is over 1,500 chemical responses from the very emotion, thoughts, and feelings that you have within this physical body. So the replication of what Jade said is, you have the same makeup that the earth has within your physical body, and the physical body has within the earth. And so this transmission is like this wave field, light wave, particle matter, that is what they've measured 8, 10, 15 feet. Let's be honest, as a Taoist, we know it's infinite. It just connects with the universe, as does the application of understanding the quantum field, understanding zero-point energy, or entitling it the Planck units, which is just in reference to Max Planck, who discovered this about the same time as Albert Einstein. So you have this. It's all interconnected, right? So you have the energy of the black hole within every nucleus of every single thing that you can ever imagine within the universe that you can see or not see. It's evident everywhere, right? So you have this system. This is the connecting the dots. That would be the separation between us here and that camera. There is no separation, even though it is the illusion of space and time. There is none. There is no space in this room. It's filled. Right?
I think I'm starting to get it. Well, I mean, I get it, but I think I'm starting to
get a handle of it.
Yeah, because it was like the black hole. I'll say it back and then you tell me. So it's like the black hole energy is all the infinite energy, the universe, everything.
Right.
But we're Earth.
Right.
Which is the magnetism of Earth. We're not like Mars. We're not, the moon, or we're Earth.
And I would absolutely bet $1 million that each one of these planets, as we access these energies and constellations and everything, has a magnetic field also.
Right. Has their own magnetic field.
Yeah.
But because of just, the humans and we live on
Right,
Earth,
right,
we're Earth.
right.
And so we are that magnetism.
Right.
And then that magnetism itself connects us to this black hole energy, which is everything.
Right, right. Yes, everything. Well done. Big brain on Brad.
Ooh.
And so, yeah, it's kind of exciting when you start putting the pieces together, you come to this realization. So the association between the black hole, Earth, and the human heart is pretty mind-blowing. And so you have this synergy, and when you have the aha moment, like anyone in the audience and Jade is having, it's like, oh, what does that mean, Sifu? That means that Harry
Anything is
Potter
possible.
ain't got nothing on you once you come to this conclusion, because
Right.
there's a level up, and it's tangible, right? It's absolutely tangible. So when you're measuring these things, yes, they can measure them. So even within certain systems in the last 30 years, there's nonprofit organizations that have gone deeper into this synchronicity between the heart, the brain, the gut, the universe, Earth. Now, as Taoists, we connect the Earth with the sun, which the sun is the upper dantian, the middle dantian is the Earth, the lower dantian is the moon. This is how we associate it. And so when we connect these things, you create a coherent frequency, a flow. It's like all of a sudden, shazam, everything is in a line. And then all of a sudden, you're able to create, manifest, heal, whatever it is, whenever it is, however it is. And that all comes from this. And, certain emotions will evoke that, and certain emotions will repel or create coherent to incoherent. And that's why we stress, you want to be the master keeper creator of your emotions, because that's a baseline. As a priest, that's something we first get taught and if you didn't understand it, now you have more of a better understanding of it, because you want to have complete charge of those things and realize that that's just duality. When we step past duality, these things don't exist, and now we're off to the races to some profound stuff. Because if you sit there and you're limited by that, then of course the old foundations of what we call like attract like will become your reality.
Yeah.
So,
No.
and that just is the tuning fork. So the tuning fork, the understanding, the fundamentals is you stay in a state, and that's what comes to you. If you're negative, negative things come to you. If you're positive, positive things come to you. The simplicity of that is like, that sounds so stupid. It's so simple. You're the magnet. Remember, the magnet. Okay, so what is that? Sifu, I just got it. The magnet. Blammo. You are the magnet. And everyone's like, is that like at the circus? Anyway, those clown shows, you throw the ball in the mouth. You're the magnet.
Yeah.
And so how is that relevant? Well, now you understand. You just had the epiphany. The magnet is you draw things to you, no matter what. You're able to project them and draw them. And because everything is interconnected, this is how it works within the universe, right? And so what's most important, what's most valuable is the present moment.
Right.
Okay? Understanding that the universe doesn't work on a time clock. The universe doesn't work on a moral compass. It's just the present moment. So that means carpe diem. I'm getting a little Latin right now. You know what that means?
Yeah, isn't it like everything? Or...
Seize the day.
Yeah, seize the day.
Damn straight, those Latins had it straight. Understand that that's be all and end all. Carpe diem, seize the day, or how about something as simple as the old shiznizzle, Shakespeare'sle,
To
to be
be
or
or
not
not
to
to
be.
be.
Again, very interesting how we look at these things differently, but they're really the same.
Yeah.
So seize the day, which sees the moment, which is the present. This is where it all happens. It's not happening in the future or in the past. You can access those things, but if you want to affect change and you want to manifest, you want to create magic, you want to create healing, that's right now, baby. And I've leaned on this understanding, because when people talk about certain things, you got to learn them. This comes down to the same thing with language. How I'm approaching language is I'm not learning the language. I'm acquiring it through absorbing it. That means just being around it. I have moments where I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on here, but I can feel it. And that feeling is the percolation of the very words, the very numbers, the very letters that are permeating into the very core of who I am, which we repeat and go over. This is within your DNA. This is why Mandarin, this is why the Chinese culture, the Asian culture is so dear to my heart, because I was a Taoist priest many lifetimes before this, and I've come in different ways, shapes, and forms than the way I look right now. The Scottish warrior. It doesn't matter. Understand, you will feel it. That feeling is the access point and the realization that you're right where you need to be.
Yeah, and that's so powerful. I mean, like you said, you're getting these messages through your heart. That's where they're coming from, that feeling. And then that signal is being put up into what you consider your brain as a thought or a great idea or a oh my goodness, I just got this download. But it's all coming in through here, that feeling that, almost so fast that we're not even processing it. We just go, "Oh, I got this really good idea," or something. It's going straight here before we're even realizing where it came in from.
100. And then, of course, consciousness is all things, right? And so this is the parallels, guys. So you have the 0 point energy, black hole energy, which is evident and present in all things. How do we access it? Through the heart and your connection with the earth. And when you create the synergy, the synchronicity, energy, frequency, vibration, you access all things. It's like you're playing a game of Mario and you level up. Bing, ding, 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 ding. How do I know this? I've seen my son play these games 1,000,000 times. And I want an extra player. I want an extra Mario. So I level up. I hit that synchronicity and blammo.
I unlock everything.
You unlock every level. And so it always starts with your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. And you have to start with that. So if you are limited in your perception, the old expression, suspension of disbelief, well, more than that, the visceration or demolition of disbelief is a starting point. So then by doing that, you create what we call an opportunity to accept and allow. When you accept and allow, the lack of resistance evokes what we call Wu Wei, which is effortless action. That flow, baby. One thing, as we understand things, because we are present, this is where everything happens. The past, the future is all culminated into this one moment. As the universe does not have a moral compass, the universe does not have a measurement of time and space. All of this is irrelevant. Whether you wear Gucci shoes or you ride a motorcycle or you jog around the park wearing a unitard, it doesn't matter. Your faith is ultimately accepting what is present. Your faith can come in the form of many things: God, universe, Buddha, Jehovah, Allah, whatever it is. But the truth is, your access to all these things to realize it as real, shifting from 3D to 5D, all is hinged on this moment right now. And when you're able to do that, accept and allow all things, you're right there, baby. You're accessing that brainwave, but make sure that tuning fork, the pineal gland, as the tuning fork for all the information. So the heart takes in the packets of information, transmits out the packets of information. It has 5,000% more powerful electromagnetic charge than the brain does, even though everyone goes, that's all coming from the brain, reptilian, logical, blah, 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 blah. Oh, we know it's much greater than that, because once you step past the physiology, you're talking about physiology. Then we get to energology, and then you have spirituality.
I mean, I've never done this before. I've only seen it on like TV, but like, isn't that how they do lie detectors? Is they monitor your heart rate?
They monitor your heart rate. That's an interesting perspective. I mean, there's a correlation with heart rate variability that determines how strong your heart is, but ultimately they're going by that as a way to determine from a book-read person. Now,
right.
It all has to do with what you believe in. If you have some serial killer that believes in drinking, the blood of pigeons on a Sunday is going to make them stronger and ultimately create an ascension to a higher state of consciousness, and they believe that is true, then when you put them in a lie detector position and they don't believe in lies, they don't believe in this moral compass thing, which is why I get sort of amused by people that are bound by the realm of men, bound by this infrastructure that is so limited. You will have someone who's, makes Jeffrey Dahmer look like an infant, pass a lie detector test, and you could ask them a direct question, have you ever murdered anyone? And they'll be like, no.
But that's
because they believe,
but they're not. It's
No.
not like I say
And
that. I say that in the sense that the lie detector isn't testing their brain.
Well, no.
It's testing
and
their
it's
their
if they're-
heart.
No, but that's their measurement of
Or
determining.
their measurement.
Their measurement of your heart rate going up or down is a determining factor as to whether they're telling the truth or not.
Right.
What I'm saying is if you,
once you step
as the
past
expression,
that,
remember the expression, wholeheartedly.
right?
What are the chances of an expression like this?
Mm-hmm.
Wholeheartedly accept that, this serial killer has accepted that murdering people is not murder.
Right.
I'm setting them free. So this is where this whole, good, bad, and then you know the difference. Now, understand this. We've identified that to create coherence, you can quickly access it through your emotions. So there is definitely a differentiator, right? So it's quite evident that when you are angry, that is a much lower frequency. Now, you have just determined that as a lower frequency, and it's on a spectrum, right? So you can see it. It's like anger creates a lower frequency that makes you incoherent, not with the earth. So I'm not saying that anger could not replicate the earth frequency. I'm saying that if you want to synchronize with the universe, we have been able to decipher this communicative language as emotions are creating a synchronicity or not unsyncing us with a higher frequency. And that higher frequency is being determined by your state of consciousness. And as human beings, we're transmuting this into an identifying of an emotion. Understand this. This is within a duality model. Realize this. So if the universe doesn't go, you have emotions. No. We just know that your frequency is higher and you're able to access it. It just so happens that how a human being accesses this high frequency that gives you the ability to access 5D reality, thoughts, feelings, and emotions, generating your ability to affect change in a 3D reality from a 5D reality, happens to come in the form of this language that we've determined as emotions. But they're all just frequencies. The universe isn't going, oh, you're feeling love. You know, a lot of people that's a fallacy. They're like, well, to get there is you must feel love. Now,
It's just a frequency.
it's a frequency that we've determined as human beings, been given the information through our connection with the universe. What's the easiest way for you to understand me? Mm-hmm. We've given you these emotions. You have them because it was part of the design of what was created when you were created, when, you know, the universe had a moment of consciousness to create human beings. And so within that system was emotions, and that has been defined as the fastest path to accessing this frequency. But that's what it is. And so when you say someone just be in love, you know, that's so subjective. Unfortunately, the reason why it doesn't work for so many people, and you get people that have got this system, you got to love, you got to do this, you got to do that. What people tend to find is you can have love as, you know, unicorns and rainbows for one person, and love to another person is, you know, razor blades and bunny rabbits. It's so variable and subjective to your perception of your reality, which is what we talk about. So getting back to something that is more neutral, that is an easier way to do it, is you create what the fastest emotional content that would give you that frequency, that coherence, would be gratitude. So if you're fast tracking that and you train your neurology, which is what we talk about that within our app, and visual audible experience creating the kinesthetic response. You are training your neurology, your tuning fork, to acquire this access point like this. That's the point of your training, is to get in there and obtain that access point, and you master it very quickly.
Mm-hmm. And the whole point is to be able to go, okay, I want to be coherent. I want to be in this frequency now. Switch. And you're in that frequency.
And that comes from your attention intention.
Right.
And you create this pliability through your, using these ancient practices, Nigong and Qigong, Nigong moving energy with your mind, Qigong moving energy with your breath. And this is integrated into a digital contemporary offering of an ancient practice. Way 126, check it up in the bio, links in the bio. Whatever you want to do. The bottom line is, this is how you access it. And this tuning fork is designed to respond to energy, frequency, vibration. That's what it's given to you for. So you can experience this simulation that you believe is your reality. This flesh and blood before you is all got to do with light, wave, matter, particle. That's the sum of how these things work, and they materialize in what you consider material form, but it all has the same 0-point energy deep inside it. So that's how you interconnect it. And the second you shift your consciousness, where you, how you say, suspension of disbelief, or visceration or demolishing of disbelief, and you are a believer. I am a believer. Amen, brother. All of a sudden, anything's possible. But it comes from you. Your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. And telling yourself what you want to hear and telling yourself the truth are two very different things. Mm-hmm. And that will be evident by your expression of your reality. So your life as you see it will determine whether you're telling yourself what you want to hear or you're telling yourself the truth. A lot of the achievers that you see around you, that you aspire to want to be, or you admire, or you think they're inspirational, they got it. Yeah. They got the memo, and they may not consciously be doing it, but it's in their unconscious, subconscious programming from when they were a child that puts them in a place where they can access it very quickly. Now, they access all these things that you may like, I wish I could get $1 million, a Ferrari, blah, blah, blah. But then in other aspects of their reality, they're quite deficient. Personal relationships, all to do with their mental, emotional state. All that is all relevant. So they could have obtained this one thing you want, money and power. But then they're deficient in all these other categories, which is where we level up your sensory perception. So you're not excess or deficient in one sensory perception. You elevate them all at once, making you at one with all. So these people have just trained as children to access these things a little faster. And it's like, wow, they've got everything. And they're, the old expression where you get these people that you look at and go, oh my goodness, they have all the money and power in the world, but they're not happy. And they go, money and power doesn't bring happiness. And you're like, excuse me?
It would help
You're
me a
not
lot.
me. You're not me. You're not living my life.
Yeah.
Yet you're not living their life, which is their simulation.
Exactly.
Is they're absolutely empty inside. They're happy. They're sad. They're hopeless. They're fearful. There's a whole other landmine of other variables that have created their reality. So they've got a slither of it, but they don't have the full spectrum.
Mm-hmm. And you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of those little metal detectors. They go walk around the sand, and then they can find gold or whatever, metal or something like that, because it vibrates at a certain, they just turn the dial and they say, okay, what do I want to find? And then it vibrates at a certain frequency. And it's like, this is the same type of thing when you're very emotional and you're stuck in your emotions. Your frequency is just set at sand.
Right.
So you just walk around and it just goes beep, 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 beep. And you're like, I just found sand. I'm like sifting through sand and sand and sand and sand and sand. And I might have that one little moment of manifestation where I found, a ring, but then I can't replicate it again because I'm still stuck in this emotional incoherence all the time. And I'm just finding it. Whereas when you just adjust that frequency that all of a sudden you're vibrating at, where no matter where I put my thing, I'm going to find metal, I'm going to find treasure, I'm going to find gold, whatever you're looking for. That's all you receive, because your frequency is set there where it's like, oh my goodness, one good thing happened and another good thing happened. And by the time I think about it, my life is just absolutely incredible. And look at all these amazing things that I've had, and it just keeps getting better because that frequency just gets adjusted as you let go of this kind of emotional control that you think is put over you.
Right.
And you can really start to just keep turning that dial higher and higher and higher on the frequency that you want, that's being magnetized back to you.
Right. And so just look at it like this. Emotions are quite simple. Lower vibrational emotions separate you. Higher vibrational emotions connect you as one. And so the fastest way to identify with that is the epicenter. The quickest one is gratitude. Mm-hmm. So you want to get someone to connect with the universe, give them $100, whatever. That's
or a
that
hug
resonation,
or a smile,
right? Or acknowledge their existence as human beings. Their need for approval is critical to their very operation in this world. Now you move past that, but let's just say that's an access point. You want to change someone's life, say hello to them.
Give them a compliment. See, how does it make you feel when someone gives you a compliment? Random.
Right.
Oh my God, I love your outfit today. And you're like,
and
it's a charge.
And it's so powerful.
Yeah.
The simplicity of that. You can absolutely alter someone's reality. When I see homeless people, of course I do their reading first just in case they're megalomaniacs, but I've never come across that. But let's just say I came across a megalomaniac serial killer. Would I still possibly give them $100 even though they're bumming cigarettes at the local park? Yeah, I would. Because, again, from Taoism, we need to understand something very clearly. You cast the wicked away, you draw that person closer. What does that mean in essence, in a nutshell? That means that you recognize their true default of who they really are, which is one. And their personality is just the sum of their life experiences. Understand this, know this to be true, and you will evolve very quickly in your ascension of consciousness. And, step back from the judgment, because you're already in your head, you're already lower vibrational by judging someone else by their appearance, by their attitude, by the way they express themselves. Is limited in of itself. And when you don't make it about yourself, which is how you end up at judgment, what? That's the only way you end up at judgment. You judging someone else means that you have an opinion. And guess what else everyone has other than an opinion? Yeah, the old you know what. And so we all have just like we have. And you can fill in the blanks. So realize that the second you don't make it about yourself, meaning you don't have an opinion, you are objective, this resonation, this frequency just shines through, and you're able to observe that this humanness is, of course, you are them, and you're not judging them by the color of their shoes. And I don't say skin because that's just race baiting, and I refuse to subscribe to that because that's, again, another psychological trick where people are going, you're judging someone by their culture or their skin color. No, that's not how the world works. It's a horrible, diabolical, maniacal thought form that generates a response by people. But in essence, human beings are not like that. They don't walk around judging a person by their color, by their race, by their appearance. That's something that has been created over time, that you're generating that. But first and foremost, if you step away from having the subjective opinion of yourself by judging someone else, and you step away and don't make it about yourself, boom, blammo. You have liftoff. So
Yeah. I was going to say, wow. I mean, I think this is a doozy today.
Well, this is a doozy today. I want people to understand that's the correlation. What do? The three. Black hole energy, Earth, and the human heart. What do they have in common? Me. No. Generally speaking, you understand that trio, right? So the black hole energy is the infinite zero-point energy that is the quantum. And then the heart is basically a mini version of the Earth, and that correlation of the two, understanding your electromagnetic field that is being transmitted from you, to you, within you, out of you. This is taking place all day, every day. Energy is of itself all things, and the connection is the zero-point energy. So imagine, connect the dots. There are trillions of dots everywhere, and you're just dopping them in. The second you have a thought, feeling, an emotion, all those dots connect as one, and you're off to the races, creating equal to or greater than within the field that is you. You are the field that generates a manifestation, healing, or magic. Blammo. So you have these three things. What we want to do is do a little connection of that heart within, what we call the sacred infinite flower, which is the epicenter of that. And that is born through the raising of the red phoenix from the ashes of a death of a star realized in that black hole zero-point energy. On a deeper level, that's a Taoist access point. But what we're going to do today is just get a deeper connection between the brain and the heart using this exercise, which will give you a high level of sensory perception, quickly accessing that. And I will use a specific code that will be integrated into your DNA, and you will get high as, I don't know I don't know what's after as, but you get my drift. And so there's a few little things that we do here. So first and foremost is you're going to generate a cough. But what? Sifu, that sounds absolutely absurd. So what you're going to do is you're going to cough 3 times. That sounds ridiculous. That's absurd. And what that does is that starts to stimulate and access what we call nitric oxide within your sinuses, within your skull, right? And so nitric oxide is one of the feel-good vasodilators that you have within your physical endothelial system, which is your cardiovascular system. And by accessing this particular hormone, chemical, you are going to dilate your cardiovascular system. Okay, so it starts with 3 coughs, then 3 hums. What? And so this is accessing that nitric oxide that is already you're producing that within your your skull, your pituitary gland, up into the sinus areas. So this is like a rippling cause and effect. So there's 3 coughs, then there's 3 hums, like ha ha ha. This starts to activate the response of that, and then you're going to now breathe that in through the nasal passage, and it's going to concentrate in the upper dantian area, i.e. pineal gland. Then you're going to exhale it into the earth, the middle dantian. And what's going to happen is this filling of blood, this feel-good, elated joy, bliss that is generated, and it activates the dopamines, it activates basically a lot of the other feel-good chemicals that are created. Oxytocin, we have nitric oxide, dopamine. All these things will be evident within a very short period of time. So we're going to cough 3 times, we're going to hum 3 times, then we're going to inhale into what you perceive as your upper dantian, third eye, pineal gland. You're then going to hold that. So we're going to inhale 3 times, you're going to hold that for 9 seconds, then you're going to exhale that down into the middle dantian, your heart. And the elated, joyful, highest feeling that you get is just part of how powerful you are and putting your attention and intention into concentrating and condensing these energies. Blamo, you're welcome. That's all right. That's what I'm here for.
Let's do it.
And that's the exciting part. How is our son? Is he doing well?
Yeah, he's good.
All right, okay, good. Mummy seems very excited. I am.
Yes.
Hello, son. So, does this make sense? Does that make sense to you, Jade?
Yeah. I think when you do it, we'll just start repeating,
Right.
and it'll.
And what we might do is we'll do 3 runs, and at that point, so we'll do 3 rounds of coughs. So there's like literally 3 rounds. Cough, 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 cough. Then it'll be hum, 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 hum. And then that's when we inhale 3 times, and then condensing, holding, and then exhale, right? So these are really ancient practices, but I could tell you, you're going to have a new idea of high when you follow the instruction and roll this out. Of course, you can always come back to this video and be as high as a kite whenever you feel like it. You're welcome. Compliments of the Way 126.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start with just the cough. Another one. Now humming. Ha, ha, ha. Again. Ha, ha, ha. Again. Ha, ha, ha. Now you're going to inhale 3 times. Hold. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale to this middle dantian. Sit in that. And as your sensory perception adds up, what happens is it's like a delayed response, and it starts to fill up more and more with blood. And just to add to the power of what we are have just generated in an alchemical response. All you need to do is start to smile and watch the good times roll out. Hold that there with that smile. Come on, get a grimace on there, guys. It's really difficult to fight it because you have created this chemistry. Wow. And the bigger you smile, the more bubbly, the more elated, the more blissful you get. Smile again. My goodness. Wow. One more time. Whoa. And now, even though I didn't speak on this, while you're feeling this, you can put your hands together, creating a loop, which is now adding to the basic sacred geometry. So by putting your hands together in a prayer position, you're creating the pyramid shape geometry. And all you need to do is now smile and watch that portal just light you up. And to add to the sensory perception, by doing this and with the smile, you're feeling the surge of energy. Your heart is getting very heavy because of all the blood that is going into it and those feel-good chemicals that you're creating. There you go. Now what I want you to do is take a small breath in and then a long exhale. Do that again, small breath in, and then a long exhale. Another one, small breath in, long exhale. Do it again. Another one. Another one. Last three. Two more. Last one. Smile again. Wow. Wow. Keep that smile up. And yes, all that heat and energy in your hands, in your arms, in your chest, this is all generated by you guys. You've created this. Your interconnection with the universe. And while you're there, whether you hear my voice in the distance or you are just immersed in this energy, allow yourself to climatize, to synchronize, to regulate however you need to within the space at your own pace. And I'm going to thank my divine delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade. And I am your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master Sun Quinn, and I will see you on the next one, guys.